So let's start the lesson. We were discussing this chapter, and what we have discussed up till now is we have talked about the first part, that is growth. And when we talk about growth, we have talked about the different types of growth like absolute growth, relative growth, right? Geometric growth, arithmetic growth, I mean already discussed, right? We have talked about certain terms called as differentiation, de-differentiation and redifferentiation. Phases of growth we have discussed, and we have started with the hormone part. When we talk about the hormone part, we know whenever we talk about phytohormones, pasta phytohormone kotha kobo lage, that is auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin, abscisic acid and ethylene. No, we have started with auxin, and today we are going to start a class with the next hormone, that is gibberellin. From the portion that we have discussed in the last class, auxin or ami kisuman point jeneke bioassay of auxin, precursor of auxin, auxin or use bilak, auxin buli kole apical dominance is a word that we use. We have used a word called as intact and non-intact plants, parthenocarpy code kore, etc., etc. So this was the portion we have done. So auxin part of ra kiba doubt ase niki first. Let's solve that and then we'll go to gibberellin. Kiba ase niki auxin or questions khuribo laga. Antioxins, then we have natural auxin, synthetic auxin, free auxin, bound auxin. So bore ami ki monot rakhibo lagibo, examples bilak. Rooting in plant cuttings, which hormone? Obviously auxin, right? So teneke ami monot rakhim. Jodi doubts ase khuda, or else we can move to the gibberellin portion. Okay, so let's start with the differentiation. So let's start with the gibberellin portion. It's given in your PDF. Please check out that page. Okay, talking about gibberellin, auxin boli koalo gele jeneke ami apical dominance is the first word that we talk about. What we remember, that whenever the source of auxin is present in a plant, the apex will keep on growing as compared to the lateral buds. Lateral buds bilak grow nokore iman fast kuntu grow koriba apex tak ami ki boli ko apical dominance. If you remove the tip of a plant or you remove the source of auxin, it is only then that the lateral buds will growing very fast. Bushy koribo lagile khoda ami tip to gusai dibo lagibo kiho karone karon auxin to ami thaka loke lateral branch bilak bhalke develop nohoy, right? Similarly, that was the first point about auxin. Whenever we talk about gibberellin, the first point to be remembered is it helps in internodal elongation, right? We have to remember a word that is called as anti-dwarfism. So adult plant jodi dwarf hoy ase and you want to make the plant long or tall, what we can do is we can apply gibberellin from outside. So we have talked about applying auxin from outside, and now we are talking about applying gibberellin from outside. So hormones bilak naturally plant or thake aru ami banabo paru in the form of synthetic hormones. So synthetic gibberellin ro thakibo thik teteke auxin synthetic auxin o ase ami bahiror pora jodi hormones adult plant ok dibo lage, hey hormone to obviously natural to nohobo no, ami banai pelai disu, so obviously it will be a synthetic hormone. So gibberellin jodi if we apply it from outside, then what would be the result? The result is the plant will increase in length, right? Apex of nohoy kintu ebar hobo internodal elongation, right? Next we'll be using a word called as gibberellin applied to a rosette plant. I think in the last class we have said about this one. Rosette plant boli gole ki buzu, any plant that looks like a rose, that is called as a rosette, no? Structure to teneke arrange hoy. The best example could be cabbage, right? Cabbage looks like a rose, and so that's what is called as a rosette. Rosette plant or ki hoy, the nodes are very closely present, so that the leaves are present in just, it seems as if it appears from one point. Kinte eta point opra nulai okoman dure kin nodes bilak ki hoy closely, they are closely placed. Now talking about cabbage, cabbage ki thake obviously stem thakibo, leaves thakibo, the nodes are arranged closely and so they appear in the form of a rose. If you apply gibberellin from outside on the stem, then what will happen? The internodal elongation will take place, and as a result the leaves will start separating from each other. So that is what is called as anti-dwarfism. We use a word that is called as bolting also, B-O-L-T. So gibberellin or anti-dwarfism, internodal elongation, bolt. Question I have, bolting effect kune ane? Bolting mane anti-dwarfism. Kune ane? Gibberellin ane. ठीक है सर? Cabbage leaf no hoy? It's the largest bud. Bud is also made up of leaves only, no? Leaf bud. Flower bud is a hobo to kotha no? Bud could be vegetative bud, it could be reproductive buds also, no? I mean normally jete bud or kotha ko, we have a tendency to think only about the floral bud. Eta bud or ki hobo, full hobo. কিন্তু সব বাদৰ পৰা ফুল হয় নেকি নহয় নহয় কিছুমান বাদৰ পৰা তো লিভস বিলাকো আৰম্ভ কৰিব ৰাইট ভেজিটেটিভ বাড এণ্ড ৰিপ্ৰডাক্টিভ বাড কেবেজ ইজ এন এক্সাম্পল অফ আ ভেজিটেটিভ বাড ওকে No, that is in the initial stage of growth, just starting stage. Okay, so Gibberellin ki kolu internodal elongation kolu next time ki koisu je it's bolting no anti-dwarfism. Third is mobilization of nutrients, right? We know whenever we talk about, I think you'll remember something called as endosperm. Endosperm জানো seedটোৰ ভিতৰত endospermous plants বা endospermous seeds বিলাকত endosperm থাকিব and what is the function of the endosperm to provide nutrients to the growing plant, right? So these nutrients that are present in the endosperm are always in the form of a solid matter, right? If a plant needs to absorb this food from the endospermal cells, এই food খিনি কি হ'ব লাগিব পানীৰ লগত mix হৈ solubilize হ'ব লাগিব, right? This hard substance should become soluble so that the plants can absorb it, right? This character is a মানে endospermত থাকা যোনটো solid বস্তু হেখিনি পানীৰ লগত মিলাই পেলাই solution type কৰিলে কোনে কৰিব এটা হৰমনে কৰিব and which hormone is responsible obviously gibberellin. So gibberellin plays a major role during germination of seeds, right? Because during germination of seeds the baby plant will require the food, they will take it from the endosperm mot solid ke asile it has to mix with water ketia mix koribo jetia he hormone to synthesize hobo kuntu hormone we are talking about gibberellin. Clear? One second ha তেতিয়াহ'লে কটলিডনৰ পৰা ফুডটো ল'ব নন এণ্ডোস্পাৰ্মিক seeds বিলাকে ফুডটো obviously বেবি প্লান্টলক লাগিবই ন either it will take it from the endosperm if endosperm is not present non endospermous conditionত কটলিডেন্সৰ পৰা ল'ব হা কোনটো এণ্ডোস্পাৰ্ম নাথাকে এণ্ডোস্পাৰ্ম কোকোনাটৰ দুটা থাকে লিকুইডটো থাকে সলিডটো থাকে লিকুইডটো ন তেতিয়াহ'লে লিকুইড ফৰ্মটো কি হ'ল ইউজড আপ বুলি নকওঁ হেখিনি কি হয় লিকুইড ফৰ্মখিনি অকল নিউক্লিয়াই হয় ন সেল ওয়াল ফৰ্মেশন নাই হোৱা সেইকাৰণে এইটো লিকুইড ফৰ্মত আছিলে সো গ্ৰেজুৱেলি উইথ মেচিউৰিটি সেল ওয়াল ফৰ্মেশন হ'ব পানীটো নাইকিয়া হৈ যাব ৰাইট তেতিয়াহ'লে আমি যোনটো আমি সলিড যোনটো বগা পোৰ্শন খাওঁ সেলুলাৰ এণ্ডোস্পাৰ্ম কনভাৰ্ট হৈ যাব ঠিক আছে okay there was someone who was asking please ask Anti-Dwarfism. Dwarf মানে কি? Dwarf মানে it's a small plant, right? Dwarf বুজি পাও ন সুটি সাপৰ তাক আমি কি কওঁ dwarf. Anti-dwarf মানে tall হয় নহয় Anti-dwarf মানে tall ন সো মই কি কৈছো যিকোনো এডাল প্লান্টক যদি যিমান হাইট আছে তাতকে যদি আমি আৰু বেছি উখ কৰিব বিচাৰো আৰ্টিফিশিয়ালি তেতিয়াহলে আমি কি কৰিব পাৰিম জিবৰলিন এপ্লাই কৰিম জিবৰলিন এপ্লাই কৰিলে কি হ'ব প্লান্টডাল দীঘল হৈ যাব কিহৰ কাৰণে ইফ ইউ আৰ টকিং এবাউট আ প্লান্টৰ ষ্টেম থাকিব আৰু ষ্টেমত কি থাকিব নোডছ আৰু ইন্টাৰনোডছ থাকিব জিবৰলিন এপ্লাই কৰিলে ইন্টাৰনোডাল ইলংগেশন হয় যদি ইন্টাৰনোডাল ইলংগেশন হয় তেতিয়াহলে প্লান্টডাল উখ হৈ যাব না যায় Okay, so this is what is called as anti-dwarfism. Who plays a role in anti-dwarfism? It is always the hormone called as gibberellin. Clear? Okay. Next, ki kolu mobilization of food, right? And next we'll go on. Okay, when we talk about gibberellin, first swasun. Foolish seedling disease বুলি কিবা এটা আছে it is also called as bakane disease right so gibberellin কি হল যে gibberellin to extract বা আমি কেনেকে বস্তুটো discover হল it was something that was discovered in the rice fields by the Japanese farmers no what they have seen is they were working with the rice plant and some of the rice plant in the field were extremely tall normally যিমান height হ'ব লাগিছিল তাতকে বেছি উখ হৈ আছিল so they said that মানে কি because of some reason the plant has become very tall no all of a sudden to besi ukho hoi jabo nware everyone has a normal height right whenever we talk about a rice plant we understand what the height of the rice plant would be kintu tar majote ketalman rice ki hoisile it's very tall so what the farmers did not have any idea as to what is the reason behind this tallness, and what they said is they are foolish in nature, and so that disease was called as foolish seedling disease, which is also called as Bakane disease. Right? So, question ahe Bakane disease or logot kuntu hormone associated, but discovery card hoisile it is gibberellin. Clear? Okay. So, Japanese farmers bilake jete rice field ot kam kori asile, rice plant bilak asile, rice plant bilakor bhitorot kedalman rice plant lagatke besi ukho hoisile. Right? Ete he lagatke besi kiho karone ukho hol, they did not have any idea. So, they said they are foolish in nature. Right? Fools are normal hobo lagise tan besi ukho hogol, they did not have any idea, no? So, he karone he term to ahile foolish seedling disease. Junbilak rice plant lagatke besi ukho hoise tahatok foolish buli koise. So, that is how foolish seedling disease a term to ahi gol. So, what they said je kisuman rice plant or foolish seedling disease hoise aru hei karone hi besike ukho hoi goise. This is also called as Bakane. But later it was, I mean, when scientists and all started exploring, they said that this is not because of anything called as foolish or intelligent, word no, it is because of the gibberellin, I mean hormone, that is gibberellin. Aru ketia hobo, we'll just go through. So, Japanese farmers ki koise very tall rice plants, right, and they said that these are foolish in nature, foolish seedling disease or Bakane disease, right. Junbilak ukho hoisile tahatok foolish buli koisile. Right, and in Japanese language foolish to ki buli koisil, Bakane buli koisile. Next is you have the name of the scientists Kurosawa and Swada reported that the disease was due to a fungus Gibberella fujicorae, tar pora gibberellin word to extract hoise. Right, prothomote normal farmers bilake ki koisile foolish karone tahat ukho hoise. Pisot jeti experiment korile, study korile, tetia gom pale je eta fungi karone hoise. ঠিক আছে, সেই রাইস প্ল্যান্টত যদি এটা পার্টিকুলার ফাঞ্জাই এফেক্ট কৰিছে, সেই রাইস প্ল্যান্টডাল বেছি উখ হৈ গৈছে. Which fungi we are talking about? We are talking about Gibberella fujicorae. And from Gibberella fujicorae, the term gibberellin has been extracted or taken out. Gibberella fujicorae, কি আছে চোৱাচোন ব্র্যাকেটত, Ascomycetes. Fungi we know, we have talked about the classes of fungi, right? So, this fungi which was responsible to make the rice plant tall was a member of Ascomycetes, right? Whose incomplete state was Fusarium moniliforme. At an incomplete state word to buzi paune na pao. If you remember the portion of fungi that we have discussed, incomplete fungi boli kole kuntu fungi? Deuteromycetes, right? Out of the 4 classes of fungi, Deuteromycetes ok ami ki boli koisile? Imperfect fungi. What was the reason behind? Sexual reproduction was not present. So, when the scientists were talking or researching about this disease, they said that a fungi was responsible for the disease. Prothomote ki boli koisile? A fungi tok Deuteromycetes boli identify korisile. Kintu we know the members of the class Deuteromycetes jeti tahator sexual reproduction discover kora hoy, tetia hole either they will be placed in Ascomycetes or they would be placed in Basidiomycetes. I don't know whether you remember or not. We have talked about this, right? Class asile no, Ascomycetes, Phycomycetes, Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes and Deuteromycetes. Lower fungi boli kole to Phycomycetes or higher fungi boli kole Basidiomycetes, right? So, we had the names also, no, algal fungi is Phycomycetes, sac fungi, right, club fungi, and then we have fungi imperfecti. Fungi imperfecti ba Deuteromycetes class tut junbilak fungi members hoy ase. Hey, members bilak Deuteromycetes or kiho karone thoiso, because their sexual phase is not known. Once you keep on studying and if by chance you can discover the sexual reproduction of that plant, titale to tahatok ami Deuteromycetes or nothom no, you will remove them. Either Ascomycetes or Basidiomycetes. So, similar was the explanation in this case. Jetia first fungi to discover korisile, first fungi to ki boli koisile Deuteromycetes, kintu later it was seen that it is a member of Ascomycetes. Just read the first 3 lines of the PDF and see whether you have understood or not. Etian important key, foolish seedling what to important, Bakane what to important, Gibberella fujicorae important, or Fusarium moniliforme important. Fusarium moniliforme, Deuteromycetes. It was later renamed as Gibberella fujicorae and was placed under the group of Ascomycetes. So, বাকানি ডিজিজৰ কাৰণে কোন ৰেসপন্সিবল জিবাৰেলা ফুজিকোৰাই right okay next scientist Yabuta Sumuki and Hayashi isolated gibberellin and named it gibberellic acid right scientist next until now more than 100 gibberellin has been discovered I think this is understood now GA ami keneke likho gibberellin short form ki GA right so introduction of gibberellin again introduction of ami ki poribo liba precursor mane the raw material right we have read about the precursor of auxin also precursor for auxin ki asil tryptophan precursor of gibberellin ki acetyl coenzyme A so ekhini ami monot rakhibo libo biosynthesis of auxin we have studied now we are talking about biosynthesis of gibberellin biosynthesis mane in which part will we find that hormone to develop naturally so germinating seeds buds shoot root etc transport hormones bilak eneo jot produce hoy tar pora beleg jegale transport hoy right so it is non polar and it is transported by xylem and phloem forms of gibberellin many forms no 100 forms of gibberellin ase ami already koisu no more than 100 has been discovered out of that GA3 is the first discovered and most common gibberellin the most common commercial gibberellin right and GA1 and GA20 together known as GA1 is the first discovered gibberellin and most common gibberellin in higher plants দুটা লাইনত দুটা gibberellinৰ কথা কোৱা আছে এটা হৈছে GA3 আৰু এটা হল GA1 most common in higher plants ki GA1 commercially most common kuntu GA3 clear next anti-gibberellin e ki koribo gibberellin effect to naikia koribo so anti-gibberellin is phosphon B ekita monot rakhibo libo especially phosphon aru AMO 1618 anti-gibberellin is used for the practice of or in the practice of bonsai janu no plants bilakok je support kori rakhi die right so anti-gibberellin dile ki hobo plant dal aru ukho no hoy no hi support hoi thikbo karon gibberellin dile ki hobo support gos dal ukho hoi jabo anti-gibberellin dile ki hobo hi support hoi thikbo so bonsai practice koribo lagile edal gosok ami ahot gos bilakok ami dekhisu no ekdom horu kori thoi dia horu kori thobo lagile obviously you have to apply something from outside and hormones and all those stuff so what you apply is gibberellin also right okay cost effect obviously koribo it's very like from one point of view it's not a safe method for the plant karon tumi against nature goisa it's not good roots bilakok tie kori bahut cost dia gos dalot it's like it looks beautiful it's very beautiful kintu it's very painful also mane as far as the research paper goes aro obviously roots bilak main root to katibo no baki roots bilak ekdom tarere banthi dighol hobole nidibo torture type aro it looks beautiful but Japan it's a very common practice anyway okay chalo next is bioassay of auxin we have studied now we are talking about bioassay of gibberellin bioassay mane ki asile it deals with what it deals with the experiments that were done to extract gibberellin proof koribole gibberellin extract koribole gibberellin ase boli proof koribole kisuman experiments korisil ei experiments bilakok ami ki boli kom bioassay sorry next come to physiological effects of gibberellin egita porha swa first is elongation of stem we understood no gibberellin jodi bahiror pra di dia tetia hale ki hobo stem dal elongate koribo kintu here you have to remember the word called as intact plants আমি অক্সিনৰ কি কৈছিলো যে if oxygen is applied from outside the plant need to be কি intact নে non intact অক্সিন হৰমনটো তুমি যদি এডাল গছত দিব বিচাৰিছা সেই গছডাল intact হ'ব লাগিব নে non intact হ'ব লাগিব অক্সিন দিব বিচাৰা মানে কি যে তুমি artificial oxygen diba no and we are not talking about the natural source of oxygen you have a plant you want the plant apex kita jate niki aru besi ukho hok তে আমি কি কৰিম বাহিৰৰ পৰা হৰমন দিম যেনেকৈ কলচল পকিবলৈ বাহিৰৰ পৰা আমি কেমিকেলছ নিদিওঁ জানো সো গছ এডালত কিবা এটা আমাৰ মতে হ'ব লাগিলে কিবা কিবি কেমিকেলছ দিব লাগিব নালাগে সো কেমিকেলছ ইন দ্য ফৰ্ম অফ what কেমিকেলছ ইন দ্য ফৰ্ম অফ হৰমনছ সো ইফ ইউ ৱান্ট টু এপ্লাই অক্সিজেন in the form of chemical or artificial oxygen to a plant কিহৰ কাৰণে দিছো কিবা এটা চেঞ্জ কৰিবলৈ right যদি আমি বাহিৰৰ পৰা এপ্লাই কৰো তেতিয়ালে what is the first criteria the first criteria is the plant should be non intact তাৰ apex টো আমি কাটি দিব লাগিব intact plant এডালত যদি shoot টো আছে তাৰ natural source টো আছে তুমি বাহিৰৰ পৰাও দি দিছা তেতিয়ালে একো কামত নাহে তাৰ natural source টো তুমি কাটি পেলাব লাগিব তাৰ পিছতহে তুমি বাহিৰৰ পৰা দিলে হি কামটো আহিব so if you cut off that natural source that apex of the shoot that is what is called as a non intact plant right কিন্তু জিবৰলিন যদি বাহিৰৰ পৰা দিব বিচাৰিছা তেতিয়া হলে intact non intactor তেনিকা একো ম্যাটাৰ নকৰে it should be a intact plant itself it will have an effect on intact plant also কিন্তু oxygen will never have an effect on intact plants এই দুইটা statement clear or not clear clear point number 2 reversal of dwarfism egita পঢ়ি পেলাই সোৱা point number 5 লকে পঢ়া any doubts Gibberellin of first কাম কি elongation of stem second কাম কি লিখিছো reversal of dwarfism third we have a word called as bolting what is the meaning of bolt elongation of a reduced stem is called as bolting the hormone responsible for bolting is gibberellin it also has a role in parthenocarpy it helps in seed germination point number 6 wa seed germination or tolot eta line likha ase GA3 treatment in particular plants jedi tumi kisuman plants for example barley hawk ba ki the most common that we talk about is barley only jedi heidal plantot tumi germination koribo bisarisa germination koribo lagile the hormone that helps in germination ki hoy obviously gibberellin apply korile the seed will germinate in complete darkness also normally seed germinate ketia kore in presence of light kintu jedi gibberellin di dia tumi ratite gosdal gozai dibo pariba ami artificially disu no right so last point to important germinates even in complete darkness is the point clear next point breaking of dormancy mane dormant condition asile tumi tak germinate korai disa so keneke diba bahiror pa gibberellin di pelai eta seed asile he seed to dormant hoy asile he germinate kora nasile you want the seed to germinate what will you do apply hormones from outside excess gibberellin dia karone hobo normal condition not nohoy next point number 8 de novo synthesis of hydrolytic enzymes such as amylase lipase protease these enzymes are mobilized to the endosperm during germination and they hydrolyze the reserve food অলপ আগতে কৈছিলো ন এন্ডোস্পার্মত ফুড থাকে এই ফুড খিনি যদি বেবি প্লান্টে লব লাগে সেই ফুড খিনি পানীৰ লগত মিক্স হ'ব লাগিব ইট হ্যাজ টু গেট হাইড্ৰোলাইজ কেনেকে হ'ব কিছুমান এনজাইমছে কৰিব কোনবিলাক এনজাইমছ এমাইলেজ লাইপেজ প্ৰটিয়েজ এই এনজাইম বিলাকে কেতিয়া কাম কৰিব যেতিয়া হৰমন থাকিব কোনটো হৰমন জিবৰলিন থাকিব ৰাইট so there is a question also given there mobilization of stored food in the germinating seeds is helped by mobilization of stored food mobilization মানে এটা জায়গাৰ পৰা আনটো জায়গালৈ যাব লাগিব ন so গুটা মাৰি আসলে খোৱা বস্তু কিনি পানীৰ লগত মিলি পেলাই ৰেডিকেল প্লিউমেলে এবজৰ্ব কৰিছে right that is what is called as mobilization which hormone is responsible gibberellin so question to teneke he ahise question ta likha ase no tate so you have to study it like that Next is about flowering. Flowering or eta point of star eta dia ase swa. GA helps in flowering of LDP during short day condition. Long day plants, short day plants we have talked about. Long day plants say flowering or karne what is the requirement? Longer days, right? But you want that plant to flower during winter. Longer days mane ki summer no hoy jano, right? Edal plant ase jundal plant e summer ot phule. Kintu tumi bisarisa he plant dal winter ote phulok. Kiba to koribo lagibo no? So ki korim? Gibberellin di dim. Gibberellin e ki koribo LDP to SDP le convert kori dibo. Hormones bilak jeti ami bahiror pora diu, we can change anything, no? Even in case of human beings, now ajikal to human beings they like it's a very recently we have seen, very commonly we have seen the change of sex of an organism. It's something that's very commonly done nowadays, no? Male jon female hoy jabo, in case of human beings female jon male hoy jabo, whatever you want, I want to be a male so I'll get converted my body, I'll change it to a male body. So keneke change korilo ejoni female keneke male body le change koribo, obviously bahiror pra hormones lobo. To thik teneke LDP plant etak SDP ami keneke korilu bahiror pra hormones dipele, right? So gibberellin ketaman point birat important. GA helps in flowering of LDP during short day conditions. Ako mobilization helps in vernalization. Vernalization or kotha to ami already koisu, right? Vernalization effect to naikia koribole hole kuntu hormone lagibo? Gibberellin. So gibberellin bahut kita point important. First, anti-dwarfism. Second, elongation of the stem. Third, germination of seed or mobilization of food. Fourth, LDP into SDP. Fifth, effect of vernalization to ba anti-vernalization effect, right? So sentence bilak eneke no pori pelai point wise poriba bostu bilak. Thik ase sentence pori to lab nai no. So these were 8 points. Physiological role of gibberellin. Next we have just a flow chart. As a whole dekhai dise gibberellin function or gibberellin use. Gibberellin function ki dekhai se stem growth, bolting or seed germination. Our use ki korise? It is used to increase the size of fruits. Which fruits? Pomaceous fruits. Pomaceous fruits boli kole one example of a pome is apple. So if you want to change or if you want to enlarge a apple, normal size iman tomang iman dangor lage ki koriba bahir pra gibberellin di diba. Ajikali to sob bostu tenukai hoise no, if you are talking about grapes or you can talk about watermelon also, anything. No, gibberellin e dibo. Oh, GT dibo pare. If it's the fruit tete har gibberellin dibo laibo. Aru okol gibberellin no hobo no, combination dibo laibo. Ketiaba grapes or dokhon sweetness factor to increase korai die. It is not the natural sweet that we are having, no, chemicals kupai khai asu. No, so it's all the effect of gibberellin. Yate question ahe apple or size increase koribo lagile kuntu ki diba hormone. It is always gibberellin, okay? And the fruit enlarger has a name. The name is pomelin. You have to remember the word pomelin. Bracket of pomelin word to dia ase swa. What is pomelin? A hormone that we have created by the combination of what? GA4 or GA7. Iman details na lage. Khali pomelin word to monot rakhiba, pomaceous fruit monot rakhiba, apple monot koriba. Enlarge. It to hoy pomaceous. Oh. Pomaceous fruit. Apple is an example of a pome. Peach is an example of a pome. Right? Next. Increases branch height in grapes. Grapes plant edalot jedi gibberellin di dia tetia hole tahator junto height hoy he height to ukho hoy jabo. Eta grape plant dalok ukho kyo koribo bisarisu ami? Eneo to productive. We are increasing the height of the grapes plant. What could be the advantage? Oh, manhu bole okay, predators to ete hobo kine he buli aru tumi ekta akashot logai dibo nwara no. Oh no, that is no. Actually, what happens when the grapes started blooming, no? Tahate ki hoy by the weight tahate matit lagi jai. Weight to bari gole matile subo no, matile sule beya hoi jai hunkale. So you want to keep it away from the ground, so you make the plant tall. Oh, eto to ami to human beings are too good. We are too good, ekdom. We don't leave anything. Ami jen jolmo paiso khabole, no? Actually, sabole gole amar kame ki. What do you do for nature? Nothing. We just eat. We just eat. Consumers khali khaye aru ekko nokore. Hey, kind of food chain has a lot. Food chain, if you're talking about that trophic level, no, consumers are equal role, no, they don't play anything. Okay, chalo. Increase in malt in barley quickens maturity in juvenile conifers, enhances sugarcane yield, etc. etc. Barley jintu bostu khao no, malt khao no, jintu part khao. So tar food quality to basic koribole hole ami bahiror pora barley plant dalok ki koribo lagibo gibberellin dibo lagibo. Next is quickens maturity in juvenile conifers. Conifers boli kole example pine, right? So juniperus, pine ebla ki hoy conifers. If you want to make the coniferous tree mature faster, normal time ok tak dia nai mature hobole tak hunkale mature koriso. Hunkale keneke mature korim gibberellin bahiror pora di. Hunkale kyo mature koru? Because economic importance ase no, wood to furniture bonai. Okay. Next, enhances sugarcane yield. Sugarcane could be the best example to explain gibberellin because sugarcane ko pura pao stem or pura stem dal jedi bahut dangor hoi jay ami bahut sugar pam ne na pam. So gibberellin ami di dio. We are so good. Okay. Oh, obviously. Oh. Chemicals in any form is bad. Naturally tak thakibol dibole potiti hai bostu to bhalo bo. Ami chemicals di dis sokure bhal dekhibole sob change kori diso, right? So this is all about gibberellin. So what you do, make short notes, don't by heart each and every line. Point gita likhe short notes likhiba, right? ठीक है, gibberellin or anti-dwarfism, stem elongation, bolting, mobilization of food, LDP into SDP, anti-vernalization. Aru fruit enlarger, pomaceous fruit enlarger. Cytokinin. Cytokinin ko aloge the hormone is responsible for cell division, right? Yar pra question kiya hai natural cytokinin and artificial cytokinin or duta naam. Eta hol G18, eta hol kinin. Okay, read. Cytokinin first isolated CK from a fish. What was the name of the fish? Herring fish. Herring fish or DNA, core DNA, sperm or DNA pora eta hormone extract korisil. Hey hormone to kami ki boli koiso. It is called as kinetin. And what is kinetin? Nothing but a cytokinin. Read the first line. Okay. Next, another scientist called as Litham isolated and characterized cytokinin called G18. Cytokinin or duta naam paiso, eta hol kinetin, eta hol G18. Kinetin kopra extract korise fishor pura. G18 kopra extract korise maize pura, maize kernel. Okay. Name cytokinin was given by Skoog. Okay. First cytokinin or first natural cytokinin. A dutar upor question ahe. What is the first cytokinin and what is the first natural cytokinin? First cytokinin was kinetin that was discovered from the fish. First natural cytokinin that was discovered from plants is G18. Right. Okay. Our major source of cytokinin synthesis, which part of the plant body? Obviously roots, no? And roots are at a particular zone, that zone is called as meristematic zone, right? So meristematic zone ki hoy? Divide hoy thake, divide mane ki? Cytokinesis ki ho karne or cytokinin ho karne? Right? Cytokinesis is the process. The hormone responsible is cytokinin. Precursor of cytokinin, acetyl coenzyme A. Precursor of gibberellin is also acetyl coenzyme A. Biosynthesis, root and shoot apex, এইখিনিটো আমি বুজি পাইছো. Synthetic CK, তাৰমানে artificial cytokininৰ কেটামান নাম কোৱা, তাৰ ভিতৰত BAP ৰ ওপৰত question আহিছে, benzyl aminopurine. Next is bioassay. Out of all the bioassays that we will be studying, no, auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin, sobore bioassay পঢ়ি আছো, তাৰ ভিতৰত most commonly asked is always about auxin, right? So auxin or bioassay to report maximum question ahe, baki eta iman aha nai. Next is physiological effects. Physiological effects kita pora. First one, obviously cell division. If you talk about cell division in terms of tissue culture, I think you have heard a word called as callus, right? So callus formation or karne kuntu hormone dibo lagibo, cytokinin. Just read. Star D asks us on point number 4, point number 5. Point number 4 ot ki dise, cytokinin যদি বেছি হয়, অক্সিন যদি কম হয়, তেতিয়াহলে কি ফর্ম কৰিব? শুটটো বেছি সোনকালে ডেভেলপ কৰিব, কোৰ পৰা? কালচাৰ মিডিয়ামৰ পৰা, ভেৰি গুড. আৰু জাষ্ট দ্য ৰিভাৰ্স, low CK and high auxin will result in the root formation first from the callus. And this process is called as morphogenesis because you are forming a morphological structure. Point number 5, important. Apical dominance or ওপৰত এটা word আছে, আমি apical dominance কোনটো হৰমনৰ লগত ৰিলেট কৰো? অক্সিনৰ লগত. What is the role of cytokinin and apical dominance? Just read the line. Antagonistic to auxin. Is the point understood? Right? So opposite hormone, auxin or opposite hormone, CK. But karon auxine ki kore? Apical dominance korai, cytokinin opposite, anti, right? Next is breaking of dormancy, delay of senescence. Helps in the growth of lateral buds despite the presence of apical bud. Apex to thakar uporiu sides bilakor pora develop kori bushy nature hoi jabo. Ene normally bushy nature koribo lagile ki koribo libo? Apex to singi pelabo libo. You have to remove the natural source of auxin. Kintu tumi etal gosor apex to singa nai. Natural source to asei. Tar upori jodi cytokinin di dia tetihole lateral buds bilako develop koribo. Right? Okay, delay of senescence, তাত এটা বস্তু আছে বসন, Richmond-Lang effect. Question আহিছিলে, Richmond-Lang effect is related with which hormone? It is related with CK. CK, one of the important function, delay senescence. Senescence mane? Symptoms leading to death is called as senescence. Once a plant part or organ reaches senescence, next what? It will fall off or it will die. If you can delay senescence, তেতিয়াহলে কি হ'ব? সোনকালে মৰি না যাব, right? Edal gosot, especially if you are talking about deciduous plants. Deciduous plants, we know at a certain season they will shed their leaves, but we want the leaves to stay in the plant. Normal condition, they will shed the leaves. We want leaves to remain there. So what we can do is apply hormone from outside and delay the senescence process. তেতিয়াহলে কেদিনমান আৰু বেছি দিন গছত পাতগিটা থাকিব. Next is again that flow chart. Read the flow chart. Next page. So CK functions or CK uses. Uses ki ase overcoming senescence or tissue culture. I think it's understood, no? CK is used to overcome senescence. CK is used for tissue culture to develop the callus, right? Okay. Functions: helps in the growth of leaves, shoots, overcome apical dominance. Hetuhe important BCK. So that's all about cytokinin. Next we have ethylene. Ethylene ko alog the first sentence that we remember, it's a ripening hormone, right? Precursor is methionine. Biosynthesis, ripening fruits, senescent plant parts. Iman question aha nai biosynthesis report. When we talk about ethylene, we remember the line called as ripening hormone. Eta artificial ripening hormone ase, you have to know that name. That likha ase swa ethefon. Artificial fruit ripener. Biosynthesis or tolot likha ase swa. Biosynthesis tolot likha ase na form buli likhi pelai dash etal di pelai ki likha ase ethefon, right? That is a artificial fruit ripener. Fruit to kunkale ajikali to sob ebilake diye no. Next, please read the flow chart of ethylene. Ethylene or junkhon flow chart ase, tar junto function part 2 ase, function or eta point important, elongation of aquatic forms. Elongation of aquatic forms, bracketed rice likha ase no, right? Rice or jetia rice plant kora dekhisa nai, kheti kora to dekhisu sake no. Rice gosal jetia seedor pra germinate kore, junto prothom part 2 hoy, tak ki buli ba koy, I forgot. Junto niki pani হেৰি কৰি দি আছে কমাই দি আছে কঠিয়া কঠিয়া হে কঠিয়াটো প্ৰথমতে ৰুটে what they do, they would insert it in the water no, একদম পুৰা পানীৰ ভিতৰ তাৰপিছত কি হয় হি ওপৰলৈ উঠি আহে, that elongation is helped by this one, কাৰণ পানীৰ তলত থাকিলেতো মৰি যাব no, হি উখ হৈ আহিব লাগিব, so fasten কৰিবলৈ processটো we can apply ethylene from outside. Use, it helps in fruit ripening, it helps in abscission and thinning. Thinning mane ki? Adult fruit plantot, jedi bahut fruits ekelage lage, tetihale ki hobo congested hoi jabo no, fruits bilak bhalke develop nohoy. He karone ami hormones di kisuman fruit horai diu, so that the remaining fruits gets enough space and sunlight to develop better. That is what is called as thinning. Increase in the number of female flowers in certain fruits, example pineapple, lychee, etc. and sprouting of organs. See whether you have doubts. Kuntu? Uses or? Helps in flowering in mango. Or uses or? Sprouting of stored organs. Okay, A2 point very important. When we talk about sprouting, sprouting mane ki? Gozali mela, germination. Remember we have talked about a hormone that prevents sprouting of potato tubers in storage. এটা এনেকুৱা হৰমন আছে যোনটো নেকি এপ্লাই কৰিলে পটেটো টিউবাৰ্স বিলাকৰ পৰা গজালি নগজে কোনটো হৰমন অক্সিন Ethylene, just the opposite. Ethylene will help to sprout a organ fast. Eta rhizome ase, eta stem ase, eta bulb ase, you want that to germinate faster. Sprout koribo lagibo no, gozali to ulabo lagibo. So gozali hunkale ulabo lagile ami bahiror pra ki di dim, ethylene di dim. Hetu gibberellin dile nohobo. Gibberellin tomak food to he dibo. Thik ase? Already sprout hoi joar pisor kam khini gibberellin koribo. Kintu sprout hobole kone help koribo ethylene. A prevent kone koribo oxygen. If that's over, please read abscisic acid. कौन सा? Which one? Elongation of aquatic forms. That is, if you apply ethylene from outside to aquatic plants, then the stem, the petiole, etc. of those plants increases in height. Right. So, if there is an aquatic plant and you want to increase the height of the aquatic plant, which part? The stem or the petiole, what you do is you apply ethylene from outside. That will lead to the elongation of the petiole and elongation of the stem in aquatic plants. And when we talk about aquatic plants, we are talking about rice. Rice actually is not an aquatic plant, but we are talking about the first stage of rice plantation. I think you have seen rice cultivation, no? Have you seen? Okay, the first part, I don't know what you say, like the first part where the rice seedlings are very short and they are planted in a field full with water. It is gradually that they elongate, right. So, if you want to fasten the process of elongation, what you can do is you can apply ethylene from outside, and naturally also they will increase because of ethylene. Okay. हाँ, naturally तो हो जाएगा, naturally तो हो जाएगा, लेकिन naturally it will take its own sweet time. But if you want to fasten the process, जल्दी चाहिए तुमको. ऐसे भी whatever hormones are we talking about, right? All these hormones, if you are applying from outside, it is just for our benefit from economic point of view that we are doing it. That does not mean that naturally enlarged नहीं होगा. Obviously होंगे, लेकिन it will take more time. Okay? Over. Next, we are into the last hormone, that is abscisic acid. Abscisic acid is also called as a stress hormone. We have read this sentence, right? It is also called as beta inhibitor. Depending on hormone to corpora extract korise, no, the different names has been given. The abscisic acid that was obtained from dormant potato tuber was called as beta inhibitor. What is beta inhibitor? Another name for abscisic acid, right? Similarly, we have abscissin. Abscissin is also an alternative name for abscisic acid, right? Kundal planter pra extract korise, accordingly naam bilak beleg beleg dise, right? And the one that was obtained or extracted from betula leaves was called as dormine. These are nothing but abscisic acid itself. Precursor acetyl coenzyme A. Then you have the uses and the functions. One of the most important use of abscisic acid, anti-transparent, right? Anti-transparent in case of generally which plants? Gerophytes. Function of abscisic acid brings about dormancy in case of buds and seeds. Second point in the function part. Abscisic acid brings about dormancy in buds and Seeds. So, if we apply abscisic acid to a seed, or if the amount of abscisic acid is more in the seed will not germinate, right? It will remain dormant. That dormant seed ketia germinate koribo? Jetia abscisic acidotke gibberellinor quantity to besi hobo. Is a point understood? So, asun second point to buzi paisa nai. Abscisic acid jodi besike thake, seed to dormant hoye thakibo. Abscisic acidotke jodi gibberellin besike thake, tetale seed to germinate koribo. Function number 2. No, function. Abscisic acid or function? Abscisic acid also acts as a metabolism inhibitor. Why is it called as a metabolism inhibitor? Because it distracts chlorophyll. Right? Basically, thakile, because abscisic acid is a negative hormone, no? So, beya kame kore hi. Kam na kore. Also related with what? Closure of the stomata. Kan stomata to close hobo lagibo, no? Hono negative effect to thakiboi lagibo, na thakile keneke hobo. Negative boli kyo karone koiso? Because that's a growth inhibitor no hoy, growth regulator. Sorry, it's a growth inhibitor, it's not a regulator. He positive effect, mane jeneke suppose growth positive effect har germination. Germination abscisic acid help no kore. Dormant thakibole he help kore. So, he negative hol no? Ekane generally we use it in the negative sense, right? So, abscisic acid jodi besi hoi jay, sob negative, abscission hoi jabo. Hori poribo sob bostu. Stomata to bondho hoi jabo. Transpiration no hobo. No, it's normal. Tata hormonal functions sabo libo, cellular metabolism sabo libo. Right? Or kisuman stage it becomes necessary je abscisic acid barhiboi lagibo. Bahut seeds ekeloke sprout nokoribo pare, kisuman dormant. For example, unfavorable condition eta arrive hol. Hekini homoit jodi seed to germinate kori diye, plant dal to wastage jabo no. Hekarone hekini homoit abscisic acid birat important, so that it can keep the seed dormant within this unfavorable condition. So, positive, negative, it's a way of taking. It is also very essential for the plant. Right? Okay, I think it's understood. Now, what is important is the points that are given at the last. Yeah, points that are very important. Maximum question has been asked about the points. Jiman khini porhilu etialoke, tar gute summary to moi likhi disu. So, yeah. Synergistic action, tamane eke kam kune kore, opposite kam kune kore, antagonistic kune kore. Thik ase? Just read any point that you did not understand. Cell division or kune help kore, both auxin and cytokinin. Thik ase? Abscission or kune help kore, both ethylene and abscisic acid. Right? Thik teneke, if you are talking about dormancy kune induce kone, kune prevent kore. Yes, induce is ABA, or prevent is GA. Apical dominance, kune heri kore, who helps it? Auxin, who prevents it? CK. Senescence, prevented by auxin, stimulated by abscisic acid. Mineral responsible for the synthesis of auxin, zinc. We have talked about tryptophan formation of karone ki lagibo, zinc lagibo. Femaleness in a plant. If you want to convert a plant into a female plant mane ki, you have more flowers. Why do you want more flowers in the plant? So that you get more fruits. So it's from the economic point of view, right? Femaleness in a plant jodi koribo lage, either you have to apply auxin or you have to apply ethylene. Prevents the fall of fruits, Na by auxin. Point number 14 and 15 important. Sprouting of potato tubers in storage. কোনে prevent কৰে, কোনে help কৰে? Prevent কৰে oxine, help কৰে তোমাৰ ethylene. So this brings an end to the lesson. See if you have any doubts, please go through the entire PDF and see if you have doubts from any section. Baneless in a plant, female flowers bahut besi hoise, you don't want at that time. Karon jiman flowers hoy jabo himan fruits ekelege hobo. You don't want to do that now. Oh, থাকিব পাৰে. So কিছুমান plant wise আমি বস্তুটো কৰিম ন, it's not a statement that goes for each and every plant. Depending on which plant we are talking about, different হ'ব. Point number 12. One second. Oh, it's half written, na? Apical dominance can be overcome by cytokinin. Okay, point number 12 to adha likha ase de, please cytokinin likhi loba. And then see whether you have doubts. Antagonistic effect matlab opposite effect. Someone helps and someone prevents. That is what is called as antagonistic or opposite. Okay? Ask. Ruben. Apical dominance can be overcome by cytokinin. Apical dominance ase. Apical dominance mane ki okol apex to dangor hobo. Lateral buds bilak develop nohoy. Lateral buds tumi develop koribole ki diba? Cytokinin diba nidia. So, etu point number antagonistic effect or point number 2. Okay. Cytokinin যদি দি দিয়া তেতিয়া হলে apex থাকাৰ উপৰিও তাৰ lateral buds বিলাকো develop কৰিব. যদি অকল apex develop কৰে তেতিয়া তাক আমি apical dominance বুলি কওঁ. He is dominating factor, right? So this was all about the hormone portion. You have to take out points. Certain points I have already written. Baki points bilak ulai loba. And just kuntu induces morphogenesis in tissue culture. এই মাত্ৰ যে কলো নহয় তোমাৰ এই যে root formation auxin or cytokinin or junto morphogenesis portion no induces morphogenesis in plants car hoy CK yat likhi dia nai niki induce okay point number 10 induces morphogenesis in tissue culture. Which hormone induces morphogenesis in tissue culture? CK. It's not written, please write. Likha ase point ot likha nai. কোনটো apical dominance can be overcome মানে কি তাক নাইকিয়া কৰি কোনে দিব পাৰে apical dominance মানে কি apex টো গ্ৰো কৰি থাকিব the apex is dominating his side or plant parts বিলাকক গ্ৰো কৰিব নিদিয়ে সেই ইফেক্ট টো কোনে নাইকিয়া কৰিব cytokinin. So apical dominance is overcome by tamane apical dominance he feature to kune naikia koribo pare cytokinin etu auxinor kesot gibberellinot ekku tumi kati dibo na lage. It should be a intact plant. Jedi kiba ta part kati dia, that is non intact. Jedi kati nidia, that is intact. Intact word to English meaning to nazano niki. ইনটেক্ট হৈ আছে তাৰমানে গোটেইখিনি একেলগে আছে দ্যাট ইজ ইনটেক্ট নন ইনটেক্ট মানে বেলেগ বেলেগকৈ আছে ৰাইট চ' নন ইনটেক্ট মানে এটা পাৰ্ট তুমি কাটি দিয়া নন ইনটেক্ট একো পাৰ্ট কাটা নাই গোটেই গছডাল এজ ইট ইজ আছে ইনটেক্ট কোনটো হৰমন অক্সিন হেল্প নকৰে কাৰণ তাৰ নেচাৰেল চ'ৰ্চটো বহুত বেছি থাকে তাৰ নেচাৰেলত ইমান বেছি আছে তুমি যদি বাহিৰৰ পৰা আৰু দিয়া তোমাৰ সেইখিনি ৱেষ্টেজ যাব নেচাৰেল আছে কিন্তু নেচাৰেলে তাৰ নিজৰ নিজৰ টাইম লৈছে যে আমাক যে সোনকালে লাগে বস্তুটো See if you have any doubts or we can just wind up the class. कौन सा एंटी-ड्वार्फिज्म एंटी-ड्वार्फिज्म मतलब ड्वार्फ का ऑपोजिट What is the opposite for dwarf? Dwarf का opposite क्या है? What is the opposite of dwarf? नहीं, just forget anti and all those. What is the okay? What is the opposite of short? Opposite of short क्या है? Long. तो ऑपोजिट ऑफ ड्वार्फ क्या है टॉल लॉन्ग कैसे टॉल हाँ लॉन्ग भी ओके चलो टॉल टॉल राइट सो एंटी ड्वार्फिज्म मतलब इज इक्वल टू टॉल ड्वार्फ एंटी ड्वार्फ इज टॉलनेस एक प्लांट जो ड्वार्फ है you want to make that plant long. How will you make the plant long? By applying hormone. Which hormone? Gibberellin. The gibberellin will make the dwarf plant into a tall plant. That is what is called as anti-dwarfism. Okay? अभी समझ में आया? Okay. Please go through the PDF, entire PDF. So I think that's all. Do you have any more doubts? Okay, I don't think you all have any more doubts, so I think we can wind up the class. Thank you.